If you ever been mistreated, well, you know just what I'm talking about.
Land down the thunder. The air in the Southside Church Hall was thick with the scent of fried chicken, collard greens, and profound collective grief. It was October 1966, and they were sending Larry Burton home. Women in their Sunday best dabbed at their eyes with handkerchiefs, while men in dark suits stood in tight knots, speaking in low, respectful tones about the big man who was gone too soon. Cancer, the doctor said. A quiet thief for a man who made his living with thunder. In the corner, away from the plates of food and the shared memories, stood Larry's older brother, Aaron. He was a statue carved from sorrow, hidden behind a pair of impenetrable black shades. Aaron was the voice in the face of the thunder, the three-piece they built from the ground up. He was the lightning, but everyone in this room knew Larry was the deep, rolling thunder that gave the storm its power. Without his younger brother holding down the low end, Aaron was just a silent flash, lost in the sky. Larry's only son, Jonas, watched his uncle from across the room. He'd seen his father stand behind Aaron on 100 crap stages, from Chicago all the way down to the humid roadhouses of Louisiana. His dad was never the one in the spotlight. He was the anchor, a big steady presence hunched over his bass, his fingers coaxing a deep, resonant soul from the strings. Jonas remembered seeing the grainy black and white film from the American Folk Blues Festival. There was Eddie Boyd, the famous blues piano man, and standing right by him, a big man laying down the groove on 5 long years. That was his pop, a legend to the people who knew, but just a guy working the line at the steel mill to everyone else. Bass didn't pay the bills, not in a world that hadn't yet learned to listen to the blues. Jonas knew he couldn't let his uncle drown in the silence. The music was the only thing that could save him. It was the only way to properly say goodbye. He navigated through the mourners, nodding to his weeping mother, and found Richard, the band's drummer, by the back door, smoking a cigarette. "Rich," he said, his voice firm, "we need to play." Richard took a long drag, his eyes weary. "Aaron ain't no shape, kid." "He will be," he insisted. "It's the only way, for Pop." Richard studied the boy's face, seeing the same stubborn set to his jaw that Larry had. He sighed, flicking the cigarette into the alley. "All right, Jonas, let's get the gear." They found the instruments tucked away in a side room. Jonas knelt and unlatched a heavy battered case. The scent of old wood, stale beer, and his father's sweat hit him like a physical blow. He lifted the bass, a 1957 Fender jazz bass. His sunburst finish was worn down to the grain in patches, the geography of hundreds of gigs mapped out on its body. It felt heavy, a burden of legacy, but it also felt like home. He walked it to the small, raised platform at the front of the hall, plugging the cord into his father's old Bassman amp. A low, familiar hum filled the room, cutting through the murmurs of the wake. Every head turned. Jonas didn't walk directly to his uncle, the bass strap slung over his shoulder. He put a hand on his arm. "Uncle A, it's time. We got to do it for him." Aaron shook his head, a single tear tracing a path from behind his shades. "I can't, boy. The thunder's gone." "No, it ain't. It's right here." He patted the warm wood of the bass. "You just need to give it a voice." He led his uncle to the stage, a son leading a father. Aaron stood before the microphone, a brooding, broken man. Richard slipped behind the small drum kit, brushes in hand. The hall fell into a hushed, expectant silence. Jonas looked from his uncle's stoic profile to the drummer's ready hands. This wasn't just a song. It was a changing of the guard, a promise to keep the heart of the music beating. Jonas leaned into the microphone next to his uncle's, the cool metal a shock against his lips. He took a deep breath, filled his lungs with the heavy air of loss and love, and shouted the only 2 words that mattered. "Hit it!"
I got a job in a steel mill, trucking steel like a slave. 5 long years every Friday I